right. Hope everyone out there is doing pretty well. I want to thank you all for coming and spending your time here with NDSU Athletics. Like Coach said over there, I am Jarrod Garnett, assistant wrestling coach here, going into my third season. I want to wish you guys all a happy Thanksgiving as well as we prepare for the holiday season. Hopefully, it's a good thing that this was on a Tuesday. We just got off a tough road trip here, and I'm still regaining a little bit of my voice back. So if I sound a little hoarse, that's why. So rewinding a little bit here to the weekend for the wrestling program. We started off with two tough road matches against Iowa and Northern Iowa. We took a tough lump there against a program like Iowa, 38-6. Having some young guys in the program and still looking to get some experience. But one thing to draw back on is I think that helped us have an even stronger Sunday afternoon when we took on Northern Iowa, who is ranked 13th in the country. So we came within 2 points of getting a victory there in a tough place to wrestle. West Gym had a packed house of 1,700 fans, so again, a great experience for our guys, and we look to have that help us here as we move into a big opportunity for our team, our program, and ultimately this community as we host Oklahoma State, the third-ranked program in the country, right over here in the Shields Center. So I think the last time we had a program of this magnitude hosted here and come in the wrestle this program was when it hosted Iowa, I believe, back when the program was still Division II, and there was over 7,000 fans in the stands. So we're looking to recreate a little bit more of that magic here this weekend, and we're trying to engage the entire community, the general community as well as the athletic community. We have a bunch of high school and youth programs coming to join us that day. I think we're up to about 15 of those programs. And so we're looking to really pack those stands and make this a tough place to wrestle and a tough environment for Oklahoma State when they come here on November 26th at 1 p.m. So I will take some questions at this time.
Jumping off what you were just talking about there, given your experience wrestling at the top level, I mean, how much of an impact can that atmosphere have against Oklahoma State and for your guys' wrestlers? What do you tell people how they can really affect this?
I think it's huge. I think from our benefit, I think it helps give our guys a little bit of energy. When they start to feel a little bit tired in those matches, I just think having that burst of energy from the fans in the stands as well as us coaches on the sideline, I think it helps, get them a little bit more excited to help push through in those late minutes of that match. And on top of that, it makes it tough for the other guy. It makes it tough for the other coaches on the sideline for Oklahoma State to be able to communicate with their guys. And I think we felt a little bit of that when we were in West Gym with you and I. When those 1,700 people got loud, it was hard for us coaches to communicate 5 feet apart from each other, let alone with our guys on the mat 10, 15 feet away. So I think just having that home mat advantage, having our fans and having them be loud really makes it tough for the opponents to focus and for that communication factor to come into play. Our guys are trained to wrestle in that environment, and obviously when our fans are cheering, it's really going to make it tough for the opponents. So I would say, we saw it last year at Iowa State. We put 1,800 people in the stands and they got loud, and it really makes it tough just from nerves or whatever it happens to be for those other guys, especially if they're not used to it. Being on the road is tough enough, let alone when you have 1,800 or however many people it is, breathing down your neck from the stands. So,
how do these big duels early in the season pay dividends for you when you go to Tulsa?
I think a key word or phrase I'd put on it is being battle tested. What we try and do especially is see some of the programs that we don't get to see. And when you talk about a strength of schedule, I truly believe that we do have one of the toughest schedules in the country this year. So we started off with number 8, 13, and 3 as our first 3 matches. And so I think our guys are going to get a taste of what it's like to wrestle a national tournament pretty much every single weekend. And it certainly does not get any easier from there as we certainly host some more tough teams. So I think just, putting teams in front of them, that are really good teams, that have a lot of great wrestlers, it does make them battle tested, but at the same time, it gives them opportunity. And when we start talking about qualification spots for the national tournament, which is basically your body of work throughout the season, we have to give these guys ample opportunity to be able to knock off some of those top guys, some of those top teams, because we do have individual goals for each of our 10 starters, but we also have team goals as well that we want to reach. And in order to be able to reach those goals, we have to beat some of those programs that are in the top 20, top 10, top 5. So I think opportunity and just being battle tested are the two main things that we looked at when we put this schedule together.
What does a match like this mean for the program? Talking about all the young groups that are coming in to watch.
Right. I think from a community perspective, when we look at recruiting, we want a lot of these kids to grow up wanting to be a Bison. And so when they see teams like this coming in, Oklahoma State, and they see us going out there and competing with that type of team, putting a lot of fans in the stands, we want them to be excited about that. We want them to look forward to that being them one day there in that green or gold Bison singlet. And I think that's a big thing for us. It's a big thing for our state and our community. So I think as well, it just helps us from a national perspective. We look at attendance records and all those types of things. One of our program goals is to be a top 10 program as far as attendance goes. And I think that's certainly something that we can achieve. And when you start talking about the other programs that are in the top 10, your Oklahoma State, your Iowa, your UNI, Michigan, Lehigh, a lot of these storied programs, we want to be in that company. Not only competitively, but as far as attendance and stuff like that goes too. So I think from a community perspective, we're really trying to draw in a lot of different, areas, just from local businesses to local teams and stuff like that. So I think this weekend is going to be something special. And we're really trying to create a very particular type of atmosphere, not only for our guys, but on behalf of this athletic department and our community.
Does that put a lot of added pressure on the student athletes then, that, hey, you've got all these people here, they're not here to watch you lose, against such a tough opponent?
Right. I think it certainly does. But we think it's a great thing because ultimately, when we do get to the Big 12 tournament, there's going to be 7,000 people in the stands. And when we get to the NCAA tournament, there's going to be about 20,000 people in the stands. And so that's why we want to put our guys in these tough environments on the road because we obviously don't host either one of those tournaments at the end of the season. And we also want to put them in those environments at home still. We don't want them to be too comfortable because I think when you do get too comfortable, you do get complacent. And that can happen at home. And certainly at home in front of our fans is the last place we want that to happen. So, I think that it can be added pressure for our guys, but we have every confidence, in them that they will rise underneath of that pressure. So.
That's redshirting, or is he in the lineup, in the mix? Where's he at?
Brandon Metz will be redshirting this year. He did, in fact, travel with the team, as I'm sure most saw since he was on the weigh-in sheets. And I know there's a lot of speculation there, but Brandon Metz will, in fact, be redshirting this season.
I wonder if you could talk about one or two of the key matchups Sunday for NDSU.
Yeah. I think when you look at Oklahoma State's entire roster, I think there's going to be a lot of key matchups. I think one in particular we will get to see at 165. It's a ranked matchup with a guy like Andrew Fogarty taking on Chandler Rogers, who he did in fact wrestle last year at the Big 12 tournament, and we took a loss there. And so that'll be a good match for us to be able to get back and do it here. Which I think will make it even more special and help us for seeding purposes when we do get to the Big 12 tournament. So, I would say that's one key matchup. Depending on where we're at with 133, and our health there, I think we can see another key ranked matchup there. As Cam Sikora in some publications is top 20, top 15 in some others. And obviously they have Cade Brock there for Oklahoma State, who's a top 5 guy. So, and Cam's a guy that we're expecting a lot of big things from. Stepped in the second half of the year last year and had a lot of impact on this team. Put himself into the national tournament, I believe, went 2-2. So that would be another matchup we're certainly looking forward to. And obviously a guy that everyone knows has been around this program going into his 5th year, Clay Ream. He won't get a shot at JoJo Smith, who was the starter last year, who he saw in the finals of the Big 12 tournament. but he will likely see Mr. Blaylock, who did in fact just knock off the 10th ranked wrestler in the country. So, when you talk about Clay's success, and putting himself in position at the end of the season, I think just him getting, a common opponent there will be big. I think Clay is like 13th in the country, and a guy like Short, who just lost to Blaylock on Sunday, is number 10. So to beat that guy who beat the guy, still does mean a lot at the end of the day. So I would certainly highlight those 3 matches for us and keep an eye on those this Sunday.
Tough losses in big-time environments affect the team as you guys look to welcome in such tough competition?
I think it can go one of 2 ways. I think the guys can either, tuck their tails and feel sorry for themselves, or they can use it as a growing experience, a learning experience, because at the end of the day, whether it's a win or a loss, at this point in the season, it's all learning. We let them know that this is what we were going to do as soon as the schedule was set, and so they knew what to expect. Whoever ended up being the guy, and I think it affected us positively. We still came away with a 2-point loss, but I think we saw it. We went in a little bit underprepared. A little bit of the bright lights and the nostalgia of like a Carver Hawkeye, and took a big loss. And then we wrestled a similar team on Sunday, and it was a completely different turnaround. Different team, thrived under the pressure. The fan noise, the crowd didn't really affect anyone, and we saw a much better effort out of our guys. And so I think that is something to build on. I think that's something that's giving us momentum. And I think as we move into Oklahoma State, I think that's something that we're going to be able to preach all this week. Look at the difference these guys made, over the course of a 36-hour period. That's a very short time span to be able to make adjustments. That's a very short time span to mentally be able to flip the switch to get to where you need to be to compete again. So once we got into practice on Saturday in between those 2 events, we made a lot of changes. The difference now is we have a lot longer than 36 hours. And so as we go through this week, and we're going to go today, this afternoon, 2 workouts tomorrow, and then the guys get to go home until Friday afternoon at 5, and then it's right back to work. And so the good thing for us is we have a lot more hours to prepare, and we are super fired up to be able to have a team like Oklahoma State, because I think that's motivation in itself. To wrestle a storied program, 3rd in the country, tons of ranked guys, it's all opportunity. And so you can already see it. Our guys were ready back to work. We gave them Monday morning off, and every single one of them was in there getting a workout. And I think that's a credit to our captains and the leadership of our team.